All right, everybody. Andrew, we are live on another 30-minute Rhino Mindset podcast. And today I've got my awesome friend and just partner for all of us in the industries, whatever industry we're in, Andrew Huber. Andrew Hooper is in the building today, experienced leader with cross-industry experience in the banking and title industry. He's implementing outside-of-the-box strategies to grow in any business, in any market. Marketing support, sales coaching, leadership consulting, implementing video in their business strategies and processes. You know, I love that. Leading trainings and workshops for real estate professionals and creating content that actually matters. So we've got Andrew today. And by the way, here's the most important part of that bio is father of 2 incredible children, lover of football, both kinds, and passionate about travel. So Andrew, welcome to the Rhino 30-Minute Mindset. How are we doing today?
Doing good, man. Ryan, thank you for having me. Appreciate you. You've always been a go-giver in the industry and there to help folks and elevate everyone around you. So it's a pleasure to be with you. And I have to specify for football, I have to specify both kinds because I grew up in Germany, and if I say it's football over there or foosball, and over here if I say I like foosball, that people think I mean American football, which I do. Go Green Bay, go Pack, go. But both kinds, soccer and football.
It's a multi-dimensional man, but today we're on the topic of really the art of mastering, getting back in touch and staying relevant with your database. And the reason I brought Andrew on, because I spoke about this the other day about the gold is in the old. Everybody's reaching out for new leads as we should do, but forgetting about what's really that we have already worked with, the people that with know, liked, and trust us. And you said, hey, there's a proper way to do it. Look, we're going to charge right into this podcast right away. And I want to ask you, Andrew, why is staying top of mind with your database so crucial, especially in the mortgage and real estate industry?
Well, I'll answer it by way of a little bit of an anecdote. I was speaking with a group of real estate agents here in Virginia 2 weeks ago. And we did a class on creating content, video, and using AI and tools and things like that. But invariably, database always comes up. And I just asked each real estate agent, there was about 8 of them around me after the class. And I'm like, how many of you have a monthly consistency of some kind that goes out to your existing database? And out of the 8 people standing around me, only one of them had some form of a monthly consistency going out. And the rest of them kind of, we know we need to do it, but busy, this and that and all that. So the funny thing about sales, because we're all in sales in the trifecta, I work more on the title side, but we help our title agents and attorneys go out and market to real estate agents and lenders. So all these groups, we're in sales, and sales is the only industry where we do something really well, get a lot of business, and then we stop doing what got us there, right? And then we got to try to refigure it out. Where did we fall off the wagon?
Yes.
And the existing clients, the folks that we've already touched and we've earned the business from once, we're not capitalizing on those in many cases like we should be. And so it is, if you can build a core, right? We understand how often in real estate in certain areas, we understand how often real estate moves, right? We think about turnover times, we think about life events, we think about all these things. This is stuff that the folks in our database is experiencing all the time. So if you're not staying in front of them in some way, shape, or form with value in a non-salesy, killing them kind of way with your follow-up and your database strips, you have a lot to gain from that. So I'm excited to dig into it today. It's probably one of the biggest things you can spend a little bit of time on every single month. Some agents every week, bi-weekly, but it needs to, at least in my opinion, be a monthly consistency to stay in front of your database.
Well, at the Rhino podcast here, we believe that the future is in the past. So that's what we're talking about today. And so let's talk about what sparked this up in the first place, because I was talking about the need to give love back to your database. And you're like, well, there's a proper way to do that. What's the most common mistakes that you see people make when it comes to re-engaging those past clients?
Great question. Strictly automation. Biggest mistake I see, strictly automation. We want to, this industry is rife with folks looking for a shiny, easy button for something. And when you set everything in automation, there is a time and a place for that. There are certain communications that's perfectly okay with, but you have to realize all your automation is ending up in a spam folder. It's ending up in a Gmail promotions folder. No one's even getting their eyeballs on it because you set it and forget it. And you think that's going to do the trick to get your database coming back to you when it's time for them to buy their next property or do their next investment deal or whatever it might be, or someone died in the family, they need to list the property. Like whatever it was, you think your automation drip's going to keep you in front of them, but we're missing the boat there because there's way better ways to touch people more humanly, more effectively, more naturally than just setting it and forgetting it, which is what a lot of folks do. You know, most common question I get on databases is like, what mail service should I use? MailChimp, Constant Contact, you know, this or that. I'm a big fan of, you know, keep it super simple. KISS, like, don't even go there until you have some level of consistency through your own email, through your own outreach mechanisms. Keep it as simple as that. You don't need the fancy shiny to stay top of mind. Matter of fact, it turns people off. They want more raw, organic, authentic connection than an auto drip or an auto newsletter.
I agree 1,000%. I think, as I've been saying for a long time, and I learned this from my friends at BombBomb, we need to rehumanize the business. We've really been reliant on faceless digital communication for so long and those automations, but I think we really need to bring the human back into the process. And to keep in contact with this human here, there is a QR code down here. The Hoopers, you need to hang with the Hoopers. They've also got an awesome podcast, and you can stay in touch with Andrew. If you're in the title industry, you absolutely have got to be following Andrew. Also, any of the real estate industry professionals, but check out that QR code down there, and let's keep charging along here. What are some of the best practices for regularly staying in touch with past clients without coming off as salesy, as you mentioned earlier?
So I like to say two words that drive everything that I try to put out for my clients and for the folks, and when I coach folks, what I teach. Be radical about these two words, the consumer lens. If you got your email, would you sit there over a cup of coffee and read it? If you got your email, would you engage with it? If you got your text, would you read it?
Great question.
It's like we miss this so much, right? It's like with content too. Folks talk about, what content should I make? I'm like, make what you like to watch, right? Recreate what you like to watch. So what gets attention? And this is where I believe omni-channel matters so much. Omni-channel just means you touch people in a lot of different ways. So think about where you can reimagine your email into a BombBomb video email, right? So instead of a MailChimp going into promotions, I'm going to send a native email from me to my 300 people in my database. I'm sending the email to myself. I'm BCCing probably 97 people at a time. That's just a little hack to keep your email from getting a bad score and looking spammy. So I send 3 emails to my database with under 100 in each BCC line, but it's the same email. And instead of it being, here's the market updates for the market, which people say do that, no one reads it. Instead of that, it's going to be my face in a BombBomb, right? If you get an email from me, I have that in my signature too. You know, I get a lot of comments on it. People, how do you do that? So get your face in there, and then it's going to be 3 things that are relevant to my database, right? And I normally like to break it up into something that is industry related, something about the community, and then maybe a little bit of a motivation mindset or a reminder that life events happen, or like gear it towards something that you know is going to be a problem 3 to 6% of the people in your database might be encountering. So just keep it 3-pronged, keep it specific. So that's email. But then I want to take it legacy. So how often are you touching your database in the mail? And I'm not talking about 65-cent postcards where we spray and pray and we hope that someone responds to our postcard. This is true for new leads too. But think about yourself, consumer lens, right? Think about consumer lens again, right? If we get an email where someone's in our inbox waving at us, we're naturally going to click the play button. The play button is the best call to action on the internet. So that's there. But then think legacy in your mail. When you go check your mailbox and you have a stack of mail this big and you're rifling through it, what is the first thing, if it's there, that you're going to grab? You're going to grab a handwritten note. If there is an envelope
absolutely
that is handwritten to you, are you going to look at the ad from Verizon first? Are you going to open the bill from Comcast? Are you going to? No, you're going to open the handwritten letter that you got in the mail. And this is so underutilized. So how do you have a process where maybe it's not monthly, But every quarter, every couple of months, you're segmenting your 300 people in your past database into groups of 25. Pay someone to help write cards for you if you want, and then you sign them all. Like, you don't have to do all the grunt work, but get back in the habit of gratitude. Hey, I miss you. Let's grab coffee sometime, right? Like little notes like that periodically throughout the year, even every year, different times of the year, still get a ton of attention in nurturing your past database. And those are two extremes, right? But for every way we touch somebody in between, try to get rid of automation, give yourself a streamlined, simple process to help you scale, and get your face in front of people more, your vocals, your tone, your energy, your whatever it is that makes you unique and makes you tick. This is the most important piece.
I love that a lot. And I like that you say, you know, automation can be very helpful in today's modern industry, but also finding a way to put yourself back in position to be able to express that gratitude, to show up as a caring, empathetic industry professional and define reality. I realize that today's leaders are, especially in title, real estate and mortgage, we have to define reality. And that's an opportunity too, to get in front of people, because the national news is saying stuff that's not relevant for Tampa, Florida, or your specific area, and defining the reality of what's going on locally can be of value too. But let's get off into some value in structuring that follow-up. Like, how do you recommend structuring follow-ups to add value rather than just that typical old, hey, just checking in?
I think I alluded to this a little bit.
You did.
But so Tom Ferry said it recently. He said, and based on stats, he used to always say 3% of people at any given time are looking to buy or sell in your database, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have 300 people, I mean, you're talking about 10 people, right? 10 people that might be buying and selling, which is great. If you can get those 9 or 10 people and capture them, you're doing pretty good as a realtor on top of the other things you're doing. So how do you get those though? So you got to recognize what are the things that are driving those people to move, right? And it's like death, divorce, taxes, you know, money issues, foreclosures, liens, judgments, right? Things like that. So you have to realize that your goal while staying human, you need to be speaking to those types of problems that the people who are most likely to make a move are going to be experiencing. That's where the ding ding light bulb moment in the brain happens. So instead of just being like, did you get divorced? No, you don't say that. What you say is like funny story. Like recently, a couple of us I have talked to some friends that have been going through XYZ, and what was interesting is they didn't know this, they didn't know that. And if you know anyone, if you or anyone you know is going through this, reach out to me and talk to me. So you're doing it in a storytelling way, but people buy when they can empathize and relate to something emotionally. So tell more of the stories that equate to those 6% of transactions that are going down in your book of business. So that should be a way you kind of reimagine. That's a valuable touch because you're going to appeal to the folks that need it. But on top of that, just being a resource for your community. We hear it, be the local mayor, and enough of us don't do that. So are you getting out? Are you meeting business owners? Are you walking around? Are you giving recommendations to people in your database of, you know, best place to go on a date night? If you want to grab a great cocktail, go here. If you want to go to a nice dinner, go here. Like, you want to get your hair cut. I always joke about this, but as a guy, I've moved around so much in my life. Right now, my hair is so shaggy. It's so hard for me to find a place to get a haircut. And every time I go on Google to the places I move and go, and I'm like, where can I get a good haircut for a guy? I've never come across a realtor who had an article on their website or some resource on YouTube of like, here's where you need to get a good haircut. So like stuff like that, right? Like people are Googling for this stuff. So think about the people in your database, they have the same questions. Can you answer more of those questions in the way you're dripping out to them on a monthly, weekly, bi-weekly basis, however often you're going to do it? So just think about getting creative in the types of things you're bringing to them, but always have one thing I think that ties back to the industry and ties back to something that might matter when it comes to buying and selling a home.
Absolutely. And that call to action, you can give a lot of value and then, you know, give, and then set yourself up to receive by putting that call to action out there. And I see a lot of the top industry professionals in real estate, especially are becoming that local ambassador, that local mayor, are having the most success when it comes to online and business to consumer, you know, because they are becoming a resource of not just what people are thinking about 4% of their year, which is real estate. They're thinking about their area, or they're moving out of town and they're looking to see what's going on. And if you're that local mayor, that local ambassador that's telling them the events that are happening, the hot spots, the best restaurants, showing that you're so active in the community, I'm finding those to be the Renaissance people in real estate that are really leveling up their lead flow, leveling up their influence in the community, and their channels are growing, their business is growing, and success leaves clues. And I'm seeing that those people are really stepping up to be that local ambassador, which ends up bringing a lot of value, obviously, because the proof's in the pudding.
Yep.
It's increasing sales and notoriety and more phone calls and conversations, because that's really all we want to create, right? More conversations.
Yeah, win more conversations. That's the goal. Win more conversations. I want to go back to one thing you said earlier, though.
Please do.
There is a place for automation. There is a place for that automated quarterly newsletter. There is a place for your, lists that you have people in that you send out, hot properties in the area, whatever it might be.
Yes.
Here's where we can get really effective with that. Again,
give it to us.
Segment your database, but take the automation and whatever email got sent, now I'm going to forward it personally to 10 people a day with a, hey, did you see this? I thought you might find interest in XYZ.
Beautiful.
Let's grab coffee next week and chat. Whatever it might be. Hey, I have a couple ideas. I thought of you. Think like things like investor clients, people that are moving around that maybe are in your database. How can you go take an automation and get it back in front of them, basically put a big highlighter around the thing you automated, so that you can actually now start a conversation. So don't just leave it up to them to click through the automation, because again, the click-through rates on automation are garbage if you look at it.
Yeah,
it's not very effective. No one who is successful is like, everyone clicks through my newsletter and I get all my leads from there. No, but they have it. It's a credibility.
Yeah.
You gotta circle back and put a better highlighter around it with some of the things that we do. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So yeah, absolutely a place for automation and just using things effectively and paying attention to what's working. Like you said, if you really look at it, you'll see that it's not yielding the results that you might think that it is, because the numbers show us what's actually working.
Sometimes I try to do analogies and I sometimes butcher them. So if I butcher this one, I'm sorry. But you know how they have signs up that say, like, don't feed the wild animals, because they'll become reliant on that and they won't actually forage for their own food. So I see that a lot in real estate, where people become so reliant on automation and like AI to do all their work for them.
Yeah.
To the point where the other day I was calling, like, this was a while ago now, but it was a horror story for me. I'm calling a realtor because I wanted to go look at a property that I saw, and I really wanted to buy it. Like, it was something I wanted. And so I finally got a hold of this realtor on the phone. And he's like, yeah, that property is no longer available. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, okay, have a good day.
What?
No, right? So that was already like, wow. Okay, so here's what signaled everything to me, though. Like 5 minutes later, I get an automated text from his CRM saying, hey, this is such and such's assistant, and we'd like to add you to our list for properties you might be interested in.
Oh, wow.
Blah, 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 blah. So maybe that analogy makes sense or not, but in this industry, if you become too reliant on automation and these drips and things, you lose the ability to ask good questions. You lose the ability to connect deeply and actually have impactful conversations with people. We're missing the boat on it, And so, like, if you're not, this is what I tell folks, if you are already not doing the work manually, don't try to go automate it, because you need to know how to do it manually before you can automate it.
Yes, get good at the manual consistency of doing that, and then automate, delegate, and also eliminate. There's some things that need to be eliminated along this process too.
Agreed.
That's really great. And I think that, again, been preaching it for years. I want people to come back into the process. That's what I've been trying to preach with this whole video thing for so long, is to get face to face, because it works. It works very well, and it puts you back in the front seat of your brand, your business, and you connect with people better than that automation is ever going to do. It can be a supplement, and you should have it in your business after you've created a manual process that's working real well. But the people want to work with you. They want to see you, and they want you bringing valuable information, and hopefully becoming that local mayor in the area too, because that's just smart. That's just smart, isn't it, Andrew? Yeah. It matters. So let's talk. We're talking about personalization, rehumanization. What role does personalization play in staying top of mind? How can we make each touch point feel relevant and unique?
I don't want to be like a broken record, but I would really say, like, whatever automation you think is valuable for somebody, you can't rely on that to do the trick. Again,
there we go.
Circle back, personalize it with a text, personalize it with a DM. Just saying the phrase like, hey, I thought of you, I miss you, I thought of you. This resource made me think of you. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Just little things like that. I learned this practice from somebody, and it doesn't always apply, but most of us, we grow up and live in the same areas that we work. And many people I work with, they've been in the same area for most of their life. And if that's you, you probably know a lot about the community. And you probably know a lot of people in your database, like past clients and people, and there's names and there's businesses they own or places maybe you frequented with them last. So just this is a little best practice that I learned is when I'm driving around, like I see that business, I'm like in the car, I'm like, snap a picture and I text it over to Ryan. I'm like, Ryan, it was great grabbing breakfast with you here 2 months ago or like a year ago or whatever, like just triggered me to think. I see a street sign the other day. I'm over in Norfolk, Virginia. And I see a street sign, which is the last name of one of my clients up in Harrisonburg. And if you know Virginia, that's about a 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I snap a picture of the street sign. I'm like, his last name is Shoop. I'm like, Shoop, I didn't even know that your name was famous enough to have a street sign for you, like just something like that, because that was a level of a relationship. But those are like little ways you can personalize these touches just in the stream of things to your database. Like think about your top clients. Do you know who they are? The people you want to be in front of. There are little things around us every day that if we leverage what we know about our clients, we can interact with them in ways that aren't salesy, that are way more human and actually fun and personal. And it strikes up a conversation, and then you never know where that leads. Right?
Absolutely. And, when you have a certain, depending on the size of your database, getting to know everyone can be difficult, but there's always social espionage. You can go on their online profiles and see what is it that they enjoy that you enjoy. What are those mutual interests that you can use to personalize as well? And that leads us in, because you talked about, hey, I haven't seen you in a year. I think a lot of people are reluctant because they haven't spoken to their database in some time. They're feeling a little shame, like, oh, I see this video with Hoop and Ryan right now, and I'm like, it's been so long. Like I feel nervous and a little bit of shame. I haven't talked to these people forever.
Ryan, I haven't talked to you informally. We like each other's posts sometimes in comment, but like last time we had a conversation was probably over a year ago.
Feels like yesterday.
People will remember how you make them feel, right? And so when you have, many of you have done such a great job with your relationships. Don't have the shame. If it's been too long, just tell them, Ryan, it's been way too long, man. Like, I can't believe I haven't reached back out. I didn't realize it had been a year, right? So that's how I would re-engage with those folks. I would just address it head on, but then say, this is why I was thinking of you. If you're reaching out for a purpose, right? If you're just reaching out, do it that way. Like, I can't believe it's been a year. I miss you. I was thinking of you. How are things, right? And then I always like to tie it back to something, because if you can tie it back to something, you can make the ask. And here's the ask. Either they might be experiencing it, but that's probably a pretty low chance. So it's really the ask around like, hey, like I just had a great conversation with Ryan about database stuff. So I might reach out to one of my clients and be like, hey man, it's been a year. I was just on a podcast with this guy, Ryan. We just did an amazing session for 30 minutes on database. I think your sales team needs to listen to this. But if not your sales team, like who do you know that would need to listen to this?
Beautiful. I love that.
So that like we're always seeding the next referral. We're always seeding the next thought. So those are some ways you can re-engage with value, but also open it up to get them thinking more than just, no, I don't need that. Like, oh, you know what? I don't need that, but my buddy down the street might could use that. So
this is good stuff, folks. If you're getting some good value from this, you should share this with your teams. Go ahead and use that QR code again to stay in touch. I'm still promoting Hoop all the way through this podcast. We want you to stay in contact with Andrew and share this live stream with some people on your team that need to be getting back into their database and really mastering the art of doing that well. There's a lot of great nuggets that Andrew's given you within this podcast, but this is the 30-minute Rhino mindset. So let's get into a mindset question right now. How important is mindset when it comes to maintaining a client database, and what mental shifts can help loan officers, real estate agents stay consistent with this process? Give us some mindset tips.
Biggest tip to stay positive and keep going after it is that lack of a response is not rejection.
Oh, that's great.
Lack of response is not rejection. So stop treating yourself like people are rejecting you, because they are not rejecting you. It just may not be the right time. It may not be the right scenario for them. You may have a situation where you're like, man, I really think this is a great fit, but they don't think it's a great fit at that time. That doesn't mean it's rejection. Sometimes it's just lack of awareness, right? But if you're not doing it, like you're lessening the chance that when the thing comes up that they need, they're going to call someone else if you're not staying in front of them. So when it comes to your database, don't let the someone told me the other day they started doing the video monthly newsletter, right? And they reached out like, man, Andrew, I'm sending this to 400 people. I'm only getting 30 views. Like, it's your first freaking month. People don't know. Like, go a year and then tell me what happens. I've had clients watch videos we've sent for a year, 2 years, and then crickets. Never heard a thing. We'd reached out. We tried to set stuff up. Zip, zilch, nothing. But something went bump in the night in their business, and we were the first email or phone call. I've been watching your videos for 2 years. I've been seeing your faces. Let's talk. Boom, business happens. So know that lack of response is not rejection. Keep doing it and be consistent.
Keep in mind the bamboo plant, folks. Us salespeople know about bamboo, okay? Bamboo sits in the ground for years. It doesn't do a thing. You water it, you got it in good soil, you're doing all the right things, and it's stuck there underground. It ain't going nowhere. Then all of a sudden, in months, this thing sprouts out 18 feet into the air. That's how you need to be looking at content creation, these newsletters, your automations, your follow-up to your database. You got to put in the work, put it in good soil, whether that's that good CRM or that good piece of tech like BombBomb that you're using to stay front facing with people, and keep doing it. Don't complain, don't evaluate, don't do nothing until about a year. You need to put in a good 12 months of all of this and see that bamboo just all of a sudden sprout to the heavens. That's how it works. That's how I've seen it work for everybody. I don't think you're going to be an exception to that rule. Know your bamboo, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I want to tell people.
Don't give up too soon. You might be 1 inch away from the gold, baby.
We've all seen that picture. That guy's digging and digging, and right, you can see he can't, but it's right there. That whole diamond shaft is just another few whacks away, and that happens to so many of us. All right, so we're talking about consistency, because when we're talking about putting this bamboo amount of time into what we're doing and then allowing that to sprout, it takes consistency. What advice do you give for clients to stay motivated to reach out consistently, even when they're busy with new leads?
Okay, so I can't remember the name, and I'm sorry because I'm ripping off someone else's thing that I've lived by for years now. But dollars are lost in the gaps in your calendar. Ooh. And so there is zero excuse, because what we're talking about today, realistically, maybe takes an hour a week to do. So there's zero excuse for any professional who has a database on here to not have some sort of consistency to your database, where you can touch them in a personal way. And it just takes a little bit of time blocking and the ability for you not to cheat on yourself in your time block. And so for anyone who's feeling like, man, I'm going after all these new leads, so I can't, you got to figure that out. You got to put a time block on there. And if you can't do it on your own, go get an accountability buddy. My brother calls it a calendar comrade, but that's a little too, whatever for me. So get an accountability buddy and have them get on with you in the time block to do the same thing. Chances are one of your colleagues is probably struggling to do this as well. So build some accountability, some healthy accountability within your team, and find the time to get it done, because we all do have enough time to do this if we truly look at the gaps in our calendar.
Yeah, we've really got to team up. We really got to find our Avengers team. We got to know that if our goals are big and it just involves us, it's certainly not big enough. We need other people. We got to leverage other people's talents with all these things that we are doing in business, especially today's day and age. You got to find that accountability buddy, okay?
That's right, baby.
I appreciate you being my buddy. And you got any final statements about this art of loving on the database?
Just don't let tech stand in your way. If you can't figure out the CRM, use an Excel. If you can't figure out, there's things, you have people in your corner to help you. So reach out. We're here. Ryan and I are both resources. You can DM us, reach out anytime. I'm all over the Mid-Atlantic. Once in a while I get down to Florida, not as often. Ryan, you're all over Florida, owning it down there. So reach out. We're here to help. Thank you for having me on, man.
Well, this has been another awesome. This is the second of the 30-minute Rhino Mindset with Ryan the Rhino Owens at Rhino Mortgage and Andrew Hooper. Tell them, I'm going to put your QR code up. Tell them how they can get a hold of you, though. So
that if you scan the QR code,
there we go.
That should get you to my my landing page. You can text, you can email, you can connect on social and DM, however you want to. Andrew Hooper on LinkedIn, that's kind of where I hang out the most. But I'm formerly known as Big Hoop anywhere else on social media. So let's go.
Big Hoop, this has been awesome, just like I knew that it would be. Thanks for pouring into us again and being a friend of the entire industry as a whole, and a leadership coach, and just giving us all of your insights. We really appreciate it. And we will see you soon, buddy. Let's stay in connection. And